Burkina Faso banning homosexuality is objectively a bad thing, but the issue arises when you realize that Americans and people of the West do not view sovereignty as a country's right to self-determine, and instead they view it as a country's right to self-determine in a way that they see acceptable. The reality is, a country's sovereignty also includes the right for them to make mistakes. First of all, you're acting as though he just banned homosexuality in West Hollywood. Burkina Faso is a Muslim-majority country where nearly 90% of the people there subscribe to either Islam or Christianity. The only reason that shit passed is because homophobia is not unpopular there. The only reason in America we have the liberal surface level reform that we see today, which leaves LGBTQIA plus people on the chopping block every 4 years, is because we've had hundreds of years to figure that out. Burkina Faso has only been free of direct Euro-colonial influence for less than 4 years. If that is a deal breaker for you supporting a people's revolution, then newsflash, you wouldn't have supported the Cuban Revolution either, because Fidel Castro was doubling down on his country's already existing homophobia during his revolution. Because like Burkina Faso, they were in the process of finding their country's cultural identity. Y'all be running around giving props to the Houthis in Yemen for standing up for Palestine. Meanwhile, their laws on gay people are objectively worse than the ones in Burkina Faso. The difference between Yemen and Cuba, though, is that Cuba has had time to evolve as a country, which eventually led to them having protections for gay people in their country. Yemen didn't get independence from the British until 1967, and the West has been trying to destabilize them since. And it is nearly impossible to advocate for gay people's rights in any capacity if you are constantly under the threat of bombardment, famine, and destabilization. The patriarchy and by extension homophobia has been deeply ingrained into the society of the globe. No country is bigger than the program. In order to secure those rights for people, they have to go through the proper steps. And those steps happen internally over time. That being said, do I support Burkina Faso, the Houthis, Fidel Castro because they are bastions of gay rights? No. I support them because I realize the anti-colonial movement is the first step to achieving gay rights. Anti-colonial movement is the first step to achieving any rights for marginalized people. And those things happen internally on their own timeline. And here's a hot take. I feel like Americans will struggle with finding their own liberation because we've been so programmed to believe that change comes from external forces. We have been so programmed by America's morality-backed foreign intervention style that we are sitting around waiting for someone to come here and save us. We do not realize that the only people responsible for upholding our rights is Americans ourselves. Just like Burkina Faso, just like Cuba. And let me remind you that it only took 20 years of internal struggle to actually secure the rights of gay people. And Fidel Castro apologized. Ibrahim Traore is a young man who is actively evolving as a leader, and Burkina Faso is a young nation that is actively evolving as a country. Y'all need to stop trying to put these motherfuckers on the Western timeline. They will figure those issues out for themselves, and I will support them every step of the way.
PSA, I need everybody to know that when it comes to African politics, not our minds, not our mental health rates, what is the most important?
Hello guys, it is Sumi here again. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day today, and if you haven't really subscribed to the channel, or if you're even landing on my channel for the very first time, I hope you do consider subscribing on the channel. Well, in today's episode, I think there is a war that is going on between Burkina Faso and the LGBT community. Very many people who are into this special group, the LGBT community, they are not taking the idea that homosexuality is illegal now in Burkina Faso. They are not taking it because apparently Ibrahim Traore had to pass on a law that is literally removing homosexuality, like it is illegal now to be homosexual in Burkina Faso, literally. So very many people are literally pissed off and they can't accept this. Now, I think very many people are literally forgetting that Burkina Faso is a country with Muslim people. Ibrahim Traore himself, he is a Muslim man, and I don't know what other African countries really think about this. But so guys, let us first watch these clips together and let me know what you think down in the commentary.
It's gay people, black people who consensually agree to have sex with each other as adults. That is the biggest problem when it comes to African politics right now. So y'all's favorite liberation Barbie, African liberation Barbie, has just criminalized homosexuality with 5 years in prison. This is after he dissolved the Electoral Commission, making a very easy transition into the dictatorship. After we have debunked all the lies that have been spreading about him, including the free childcare, which was not his decree, that was already in place since 2022 by the government that came before him and only applies to public services. So from the information that I know and I have searched, I haven't seen anything regarding maternal health, regarding food programs, I haven't seen any of that. I've seen education programs, fine, but food programs I haven't seen. Other welfare programs I haven't seen. Maternal health that comes specifically from him, I haven't seen. What we have seen from him is that homosexuality, people's genitals are more important than anything else when it comes to Black liberation. I said in January that you all should stop hero worshipping this man. And I didn't say it to you guys, I said it to my friends, because my friends are the ones hero worshipping. When I said to my friends and family, y'all need to stop hero worshipping this man, he's just come into power. Museveni was also the people's choice. So was Mugabe when they first came in. Give it some time. I was called, what was it? They said I had no hope for the African people, that I was not a true Pan-African, etc., etc. When in reality, I just know African governments. And I know my history. And I know that a junta government is not what we should be getting excited about. Especially when it's not even up to 5 years old. Guys. Anyway, everybody showing their true colors.
Burkina Faso does not deserve uncritical support, especially now when they have openly implemented a regressive homophobic bill. And beyond that, the lives of queer African people are not expendable. Queer Africans are not a sacrifice in the name of the grander project of anti-imperialism, nor African liberation, because any project that's actually seeking a break from imperialism, that's actually seeking decolonization and is seeking African liberation would involve queer people and queer liberation as one of its core tenets. Any project seeking to liberate African people but leaving behind queer African people is not a project that's actually seeking liberation for African people as a whole, and it should be rejected and it should be critiqued by communists. So I don't really understand why I'm seeing a lot of communists and even leftists defending this bill under all sorts of arguments. And the main one I want to quickly speak on, because the rest of them are just really stupid, is the argument about people critiquing Burkina Faso somehow upholding Western imperialism. So the argument here is essentially that, Burkina Faso has meted a homophobic bill. If we critique for having a homophobic bill, America will invade Burkina Faso to overthrow the homophobic government. But that does not follow, because it has never happened before. There is no single example you can bring me of the West intervening in any country in the world, invading a country over gay rights. And that is mainly because the West itself still has problems with gay rights. When did America legalize gay marriage? Like 2015, and even that one is still under threat to this day. America doesn't have the consensus within its nation to even start a war over gay rights. And I'll give you a key example. In Nigeria, in 2013, America lobbied heavily to have homosexuality be decriminalized and for Nigeria to legalize gay marriage. Nigeria did neither. Nigeria criminalized homosexuality and Nigeria banned gay marriage. They said it's not legitimate in our country. America did not invade Nigeria, not do anything to Nigeria, not even sanctions. So why exactly do you think that today in 2025, America under Trump will suddenly invade Burkina Faso because Burkina Faso has implemented a homophobic law, whilst America itself is actually trying to implement homophobic laws inside of its own country? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So frankly speaking, all of these arguments that people are trying to use to justify the oppression and the ostracization of queer Africans from their own society is ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous and it's disgusting. And beyond that, I think what this conversation reveals is that a lot of people don't actually believe that queer people deserve liberation. And even within that conversation, I think a lot of people forget that queer Africans are real people with real lives, and these are people who are actually going to be put in jail. People are just ignoring that, and they are okay with, for some reason, they just viewed the lives of queer African people as being non-existent or as being expendable, thinking, oh yes, fine for them to go to jail, it's fine for them to happen because, in the grand scheme of things, we don't really care. That's essentially what people are arguing. They are arguing that we do not care if tens of thousands, who knows how many queer Africans there are in Burkina Faso specifically, but just in general as a bloc, people do not actually see queer African people as having agency, as being able to fight for their own liberation struggles, and they view any attempt at queer African people speaking up for themselves and fighting against oppression as somehow being them tied to Western liberal values or US imperialism. And I think that's just disrespectful, because a lot of people forget, or not necessarily forget, but they fail to see African people as being independent agents, as us being able to fight for our own interests. And any attempt else to fight for our own liberation, to assert our own voices in our own spaces, is somehow forced into this binary between the East and West. If it does not fit with the East, then it must be West, it must be liberal, it must be feds. It's idiotic.
Queer Africans are suffering in Burkina Faso from this law, and also in Mali, which people are not speaking about. In Mali as well, they criminalized homosexuality back in January. Queer African people are suffering across the West African region. These laws criminalize homosexuality, and it is not wrong for us to speak on it. It is not wrong for us to say that these laws are wrong. It's not wrong for us to critique these governments. This has nothing to do with imperialism. This is us talking about people being oppressed and sacrificed on some altar of a grand project that they will never live to see, that they will never benefit from, right? So if you want to continue defending homophobic regimes, if you want to continue defending all these groups in the name of anti-imperialism, whilst millions of queer African people continue to suffer oppression, so be it. But those of us with a conscience, we will actually appeal for and fight for queer liberation on the African continent, and also try and balance that with opposing Western imperialism. I don't think it's hard to do both. It's not hard to do both. And as I've shown this video, there is no way that us critiquing Burkina Faso or Mali or Nigeria or any African country for imposing homophobic laws is going to lead to Western imperialism. So, yeah.
Queer Africans exist in African countries that criminalize homosexuality, and queer Muslims exist in Muslim countries that criminalize homosexuality. And I feel like a lot of times when I'm having these debates with people about people's right to live as they are, is there will often be like, well, that's just not how that country operates. And I feel like the underlying message that they're trying to give me is that my personal political belief about how queerness should be experienced can't be translated into a Muslim country or into an African country, which, for the sake of the argument, that could be true. My personal experience of being queer may not translate specifically to how queer people exist in these countries, but that doesn't mean that by logic, those queer people that are indigenous to those countries and live in those countries don't deserve the right to live as they are as queer people. And I think this consistent framing from the global south that any condemnation by the West is just purely an interventionist and imperialist move is such a lazy take, because at the end of the day, you are criminalizing and dehumanizing, at some point threatening with a death penalty, gay people across your country, but somehow you're making any pushback about that, you're turning yourself into the victim. And that is really, really dangerous. And this is what happens a lot of times when we can't think about the intersections of how these things work. Is, yes, I'm sure there are many times when, because of human rights violations, the same countries that destabilize these countries will then come back and punish them for then being unstable, even though the West has contributed to that. But does that mean that the answer is us to just be quiet and not criticize these countries? That doesn't make any sense. And I think in terms of the reasoning for it, I saw another creator make a video about how it's very much to do with population control, and that is true. But the method of population control being to ban homosexuality is a move towards a more conservative approach to life. And what people fail to see when they don't see how these intersections work and how all these systems of oppression are linked to each other is that it never will just stop at homosexuality. This will mean that the rights of so many other people are going to be stripped back and taken away. But because people are so caught up in their homophobia, they can't open their eyes to see that as well as homophobia, this country or these countries will be pushing for the rights of so many other groups of people to be taken away. There is zero, you can't convince me that there is a country today which has homophobic laws, which also has protections that are good enough to protect all women, to protect poor people, to protect disabled people. That just doesn't exist. But people are so hell-bent on defending homophobia, they can't actually say, our country has a welfare issue, not a gay issue, a welfare issue. And you need to be able to move past your homophobia to be able to connect the dots of how all of these things are moving together. But let me tell you something. These countries are banking on you staying homophobic. They're banking on you sticking to your religion and your religious beliefs and condemning homophobia, so that you keep your head in the sand and you refuse to understand how all of these political moves are all tied to each other. And these countries are in disarray, and so many people across these countries have little to no access to the things that they need and the resources and the rights at the hand of their government, not just because of the West, but their governments themselves. The everyday civilian is so busy caping for homophobic laws that they can't see, wait, they're banning homophobia, and also the rights of women are at risk, and also poor people, and there's no class mobility, and also there's no access to people with disabilities, and also there's no mental health resources. And this whole thing of like these countries being like, oh, one step at a time, one step at a time. You can't do, this is what you need to understand about intersectionality. You cannot focus on one thing and say, and pretend that everything else is in a vacuum. Everything works together. And the sooner you realize that the community you're trying to build is a community of every single disenfranchised group of people, is the sooner you will start to be able to fight for freedom. And it's not good enough to say, oh, well, that's just Muslim people's beliefs. There are many people that are Muslim and are not homophobic, and there's many people that are Muslim and are queer. So I'm sick and tired of that argument. There's many people that are African and are not homophobic, and there's many people that are African and are queer. I'm sick and tired of people hiding behind being Muslim, being Christian, being African, being from this country. You're either homophobic and you don't care about the rights of the people in your country, or you're not homophobic and you do care about the rights of the people in your country. And even if this thing of like, oh, you know, it's really sad that there's homophobic laws, but what can we do? The underlying thing there is that people truly believe that homosexuality or queer expression is a privilege and not a right, and it shouldn't be a privilege. And even in the West, it is seen as a privilege. It's seen as a class privilege. It's people of upper classes, like, that have more money, this, that, the other, can be gay. Even in America or in the UK, there are certain places that would be more working class that homophobia would be more rife. That's not a mistake. Like, it's not, yeah. Anyway, I feel like I've made my point. And in terms of the solution and how we go forward, I think that Africans have to actually really and people across the global south have to really radicalize their thinking and think beyond Christianity and Islam and these kind of old archaic ideas of how we should live in community. And they have to realize, yes, it's basic human empathy to care about your neighbors, but also it is in your best interest to protect the rights of everyone to live as they desire and as they wish, and push against the government. Because if they take away, and when they take away, and as they're taking away the rights of gay people, you will be next. And if not you, someone in your family or someone in your neighborhood will be next, and you will feel the effects of that, and there'll be negative effects.
Out of everything to focus on, out of everything that's going on in Burkina Faso, this is who you target and focus on? You're focusing on gay people? This right here is some reactionary bigotry right here. Let's not sugarcoat things. This is a reactionary political position. Now, that does not justify Western imperialism, Western intervention, and destabilization, because the West has been trying to do that for years now. But this is reactionary bigotry, and we need to call it for what it is. You have jihadists running amok in your country, destabilizing your country. And instead of focusing on that, you're focused on gay people. You have literal Al-Qaeda affiliates in ISIS, the Sahel region, running amok in the country, literally killing thousands of people, front, back, left, right, center. But out of all of the issues that are urgent, it's got to be gay people. And they got to be sent 2 to 5 years in prison. Foreigners get deported, and prison fines. How many people have been killed by LGBTQ Burkina-based in Burkina Faso? And you know the West is going to use this. You know the West is going to call you homophobic. You're literally playing right into their hand. That African leaders are just homophobic, bigoted, don't have any respect for human rights and dignity. You're playing right into it. Am I disappointed? Yes. Am I shocked? No. I'm disappointed because to be portrayed as the successor, the torchbearer to Thomas Sankara, who was an intelligent, radical revolutionary for his time, especially on issues like this and women, this is a letdown. But again, I'm not surprised, I'm not shocked, and we'll see where this goes.
I'm just going to come out and say it. That main dude who is running Burkina Faso and pretty much like did that whole ban of homosexuality and shit like that, that's weird, that's stupid, that's wrong. And to be honest, that is pretty anti-black because, one, like the way that it paints queer people, or especially queer black people, like, you know, some of the people over in Africa, it's pretty much it's like shifting the blame onto them. And yeah, I still get it. Like, I'm still for the liberation, and I'm still for kicking like white colonizers out of your shit. Like, I'm all for that, but I really cannot co-sign the whole banning of homosexuality, because I think that shit is just dumb. One, I don't know how you're going to police that. Are you just going to go up into every man's bedroom and be like, do you have a copy of Lady Gaga or some shit like that? Like, is that what we're doing now? Is that how we're going to work? Is that how we're going to function? And this is my westernized, Americanized version of Pan-Africanism and pro-blackness. But unless we are all free, that includes like cis hetero black people, that includes queer black people, that includes trans black folks, until all of us actively get liberation, then at this point, that whole dream of actual black liberation will pretty much be destined to fail, because black queer people all around the world have pretty much been some of the major forerunners of liberation for all black folks. Like, y'all can get mad at me in the comments, but this is just what I'm saying.
You know, this special group, the LGBT community group, it always want to be identified. I'm not even saying that they don't deserve the right of doing whatever they want, because I think this is one of the main reasons why even this war is being sparked off. It's because they think their right is being taken away from them, you know, because you're a man and you feel like inside of you a woman, so they feel like they have to be having the right of doing anything they want. And for the fact that now Burkina Faso, it is removing that right anymore, it is literally, you know, oppressing them. They feel like they are oppressed. They feel like this is really a bad idea, that even President Ibrahim Traoré had to go ahead and sign this agreement that if you are found into the LGBT community in Burkina Faso and maybe you are a foreigner, you're either going to be deported, or you are if you are into that, you're going in prison. If you are a Burkina Faso citizen and you are found an LGBT community member, you're going to prison. And I don't know what you guys think, honestly, because I personally, as a Ugandan who is living as a Ugandan, even in Uganda, homosexuality is not allowed. It is illegal, you know. So to me, I personally, I am not saying that it's even bad for people. At this point, I don't know even why these people are feeling entitled, because what I'm seeing is that most of these people who are even crashing out and making these videos, these are not Burkina Faso citizens. These are Americans, maybe men, women from the UK. I mean, why are they into Burkina Faso's decisions and businesses? I just don't get it. Why are they even hurt? Why? Because I haven't found any videos from people who are in Burkina Faso and complaining about it. Because they know this is the right thing. And besides, this is Africa's business. Burkina Faso is in Africa. And when you look at most of the African countries, they are not allowing homosexuality. Like Uganda, my own country, it is illegal. If you are found being an LGBT community, it is not allowed. Like, you would literally go to jail. Okay, that is why we are seeing very many people are running away from these African countries. The people who have joined the LGBT community group, they are running away from African countries and going to the Western world, because they know it is the Western world that is accepting this kind of, you know, behaviors, this kind of groups, you know. I feel like at this point they shouldn't really enforce Western cultures into Africa's businesses. I don't even understand why these people are mad and pissed about this, because this is not something they should literally focus about. Why don't they talk about what is happening in Congo? What is happening in Sudan? Point, I don't even understand why these people are really pissed. It is showing me very well that people are just into captivity, like they have an enslaved mindset because they think they should always accept any type of rules or anything that comes from the Western world. People are literally forgetting that this is Africa, and Africa is ruled under cultures, norms, and traditions. Okay, we are not like Burkina Faso as an African country is not going to go ahead and accept everything that is coming from the Western world. And I know there are some African countries that are actually don't have this capability to go ahead and make this move. They just keep on accepting everything that comes from the Western world because they are scared maybe some of the benefits that they are getting from the Western world, it will be cut off. I don't know what even other African countries think about what Burkina Faso and Ibrahim Traore had to go ahead and make such a decision. I personally, depending from the country that I come from, Uganda, homosexuality is illegal. But do we have people that are into the LGBT community? Yes, we do have them. And are they in Uganda? Maybe they are there, I don't know. But the majority that I know, they are not in Uganda. There are countries, Western countries, that are literally giving free citizenship to people that are into the LGBT community. And most people are literally using this as an advantage to escape Africa. Because they think when they go to these Western countries, are literally going to be having freedom, the best life. People are so captivated. I'm not saying people don't have the freedom of doing anything they want. It's your body, it is your life. You can do whatever you want. But if you are in a city, in a country that is not allowing what you're doing, pack your bags and go where you're accepted. As simple as that. Burkina Faso is a country that is being ruled by a leader who is a Muslim. And the majority people there, they are literally Muslims. And when it comes to the Muslim, rules, I think homosexuality is really not allowed. It's haram. I don't know if you guys understand when I say haram, like it's bad when it comes to the Muslim religion. I don't know what you guys think, because I personally am I supporting what Ibrahim Traore did? Yes, I am. Do I have problems with the LGBT community? I don't have any problem because they are not doing anything to me. I'm not into that group, but I know those people do exist. Would I have a conversation with a person who is into the LGBT community? Yes, I would. But I just don't understand why these people are literally pissed. Maybe they thought they would go to Burkina Faso and get citizenship there. I don't get it. At this point, I feel like people are just being so selfish, honestly. People are just being selfish. They are only coming out when something affects them. What about when something is affecting an African country? How about things that are happening in Congo, in Sudan? Why don't they come out and make videos and they only come out because now they are attacking the LGBT community. No one is literally attacking the community. If you want to be in that community, go ahead and do what you want to do. You have the right. That is your body. Nobody's stopping you. But again, why are they attacking Burkina Faso? That country has literally been through a lot. President Ibrahim Traore himself has been through a lot, and I think he doesn't even deserve this kind of energy from these people. I don't know what you guys think. I honestly don't understand it, because people are just being too much in these videos. Allow me to stop from here and let me know what you think down in the commentary. Maybe we shall meet again in another clip that I'll be uploading tomorrow. Bye.